Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Semiconductors are powering the information economy around the world, with innovations transforming possibilities into reality at scale for every sector that impacts our daily life. The billion-dollar question, though, is how will investments in this space now open us to new horizons and drive us towards a better future? Let's find out on this special conversation titled Applied Ventures Investing Across Materials to Systems Stack in Deep Technology in association with CNBC TV18. I'm your host, Gautam Srinivasan, and joining me in this exchange of ideas and insights are Nalamasu, Senior Vice President cum CTO at Applied Materials Incorporated, who's also the President for Applied Ventures, and Anand Kamannavar, who's the Global Head at Applied Ventures and sponsor of the Startup Tech and Research Accelerator Ecosystem Astra 2023. Anand, pleasure to have you on board and looking forward to picking your brains to understanding how this semiconductor industry and the ecosystem is panning out. So, gentlemen, we'll start the conversation. I'll come to you first. Give us an introduction, first of all, about Applied Materials and, of course, Applied Ventures and its broader impact on the ecosystem.
Gautam, first of all, very nice meeting you. And Applied Materials is a company that started in a Silicon Valley garage 56 years
ago. As all growth stories
start. The company today has a revenue run rate of something like $26 billion a year. We have 35,000 full-time employees in 20 countries, and virtually every computing device and communication device and display device is built with the technologies Applied has innovated upon. Applied Ventures is the corporate VC arm of Applied Materials, and we are one of the oldest CVCs in the world, certainly one of the biggest CVCs when it comes to investing in the deep tech opportunities. And we have invested north of $400 million in 90 companies, 90 plus companies, I should say, in 18 countries. And we have essentially invested in any deep tech inflection, any deep tech technology and startup that you can think of.
All right. You are powering the today and tomorrow of the world in a whole host of sectors. Every chip, memory chip, processor chip, graphics chip, that's where, we are noticing a lot of incremental changes happening, and a lot of transformations have come about, especially, in the recent times. So I want to kind of take stock of what's happening in the world around us from a semiconductor industry perspective. So what's the status of the global semiconductor industry in your opinion?
So if you look at the industry is in a renaissance period, and last 5-6 years have been years of exciting growth. Semiconductor industry, it took 70 years for this industry to reach first $500 billion revenue mark, and all projections indicate that we would grow the industry to $1 trillion plus by year 2030. So it took 70 years to get the first $500 billion. It appears that the next 7 years you're going to be generating the other $500 billion revenue to make it go beyond $1 trillion plus.
It's like an upgraded version of Moore's law.
Certainly exponential growth.
All right. Taking that forward, what can you tell us about the growth of Applied Materials and Applied Ventures in the Indian region? What would you say to that?
So last year we were here for a big party, and we were celebrating 20 years of Applied Materials in India. We started with 2 people in 2002, and we have grown the company to 7,500 people. Our center of gravity is Bengaluru, but we have also expanded our presence in multiple other cities. We have presence in Bombay, Delhi, and Pune, and Chennai, and obviously have a very presence in Bengaluru. in the case of Applied Ventures, we have invested in multiple companies in deep tech around 2008, long before it was fashionable to invest in India, and certainly invest in India in deep tech startups. And one of the success stories is an investment that we made in a company called Tesal, which is actually the first test and packaging company in India. And we invested in some solar companies and others.
So how optimistic are you about the prospects here?
One of the things I can tell you, coming here for almost last 17 years in different capacities as the CTO and president of our ventures group, the quality of the deep tech companies that we are seeing is going up. As the country is investing more money in science and technology, good ideas are coming out. And with the recent and renewed focus, I should say, on the semiconductors in India, I'm very optimistic that there would be a lot of deep tech companies in semiconductors. But we also think about what we do in a very different way. What we do, we call it materials engineering. What that really means is ability to control matter with atomic precision. We happen to apply in powering the semiconductor industry today, display industry today, but we believe this is a fundamental capability. It can address multiple big inflections that are facing the humanity. So when we are looking for opportunities for the ventures, we are not just looking at the semiconductors and display. We are looking at all the future inflections which can be powered by the materials engineering. So if I put that hat on, there is enormous amount of opportunity here, whether it is in renewable energy, whether it is in 5G, 6G, AI and generative AI. So we see a lot of opportunity.
The big picture, as you say. All right. Anand, you've been patient, so I'm going to pick your brains right now and ask you to expand on some of the points that Om has mentioned, especially when it comes to the growth drivers for the semiconductor industry. And of course, the focus area for Applied Ventures, and in terms of their investment, what are the key areas that look?
Om expanded that the whole transition to $1 trillion industry per year is a big inflection. So specifically what we are looking at, how semiconductor touches every part of our lives and how it is expanding into new areas. Like everybody talks about AI and other areas, but it has also expanded into life sciences. Also it's helping reduce the overall carbon dioxide emissions and so on, right? So we're seeing a lot of areas there. And Applied Ventures, we have been investing in those areas before they are becoming fashionable, right? So that has been the focus areas in this for Applied Ventures.
All right. I want to now take the conversation from the lens of the startups who are working with Applied Ventures, and in terms of the benefits that they see of working with Applied Ventures. What's in it for the startups?
First things, deep tech and working in the semiconductor and the broader materials engineering is not for faint of the heart. So deep tech startups, a lot of the venture capitalists do not invest in the area because they don't understand it, and also it is viewed as very cash intensive and takes a long time to market. So what Applied Ventures and along with Applied Materials we have done is we have partnered with these startups by opening our labs and facilities, which are billion-dollar facilities, to help them accelerate their time to market and also develop their material stack. A good example is we work with a company called Adesto to bring their low-power memory to the market, right? And this company, we have partnered for a few years that allowed them to get to market much quicker than they would have done otherwise. And the company was very successful. It IPO'd and was subsequently sold to a Dialog for over $500 million. So from a startup perspective, we have vastly reduced the time to market, and obviously we bring a lot of our capabilities that they can't find anywhere in the world to bear.
All right. I also want to get your view on the Astra event. And broadly, where do you see Astra as a concept itself evolving from here on?
So Applied Ventures, we have been investing broadly and globally. We invest around 100 million a year. So if you look at a typical fund, it lasts over 10 years, a billion plus kind of a commitment. But we are investing globally, and Astra is our annual startup event that we have been doing. We started in India, but we've expanded globally. And what we have done is we truly believe that innovation is global, and we want to invest in the best deep tech startups globally. So what we have done is, in some of the key focus areas or the thematic bets that we talked about, we invite startups from all across the globe to come and participate in these events. So we had Astra India, which we just concluded. We had 7 great startups all across the space. Similarly, earlier in the year, we had Astra Korea, and we've done Astra Taiwan as well. Because we truly believe that innovation is global, right? The best minds are working all over the world, and our goal is to have them reach to us and us reach to them and invest in those companies.
All right. And when we look at the horizon from a long-term perspective, what are your goals and aspirations for Astra in that perspective?
Our aspirations as a fund is to be the best deep tech venture capitalists in the world, that startups in the deep tech sector work very closely so that we can bring those innovations to the market. As Om talked about, it's not just about the semiconductor industry. It's about how we can use this deep tech innovations and bring them to market that benefits the society in large. That's the overall aspirations with the Astra event and the Applied Ventures group.
All right. In these conversations, usually use cases and success stories, they get much more traction in terms of the viewing audience. So share with us some of the success stories that you've seen from Applied Ventures. I'll ask that question to both of you. So maybe you can take it up first, Anand, and then I'll come to you.
So I'll share a couple of things, and Om has shared a couple of things. So maybe we start with something that we all experienced over the last couple of years. One is COVID, right? So one of our portfolio companies was a company called Twist Biosciences that works at the intersection of life sciences and semiconductors. When the whole COVID happened, one of the miracles of the whole system was how fast the COVID vaccine was developed. And what Twist Biosciences did was they actually make synthetic DNA, RNA materials. So you send them a code and they generate that material. So when the first COVID virus was there, they were able to figure out what the composition of the virus was. And they didn't necessarily mail the virus all across the globe. They actually just sent the code, and Twist Biosciences in 48 hours was able to take that code and generate the virus samples and ship it to all the pharma companies in the world. So if you see, the vaccine was actually developed in less than 7 days. And Twist Biosciences played a very significant role there. Just continuing on the theme on the life sciences, we just had a company called Echo Imaging that got FDA approval. They've taken this whole ultrasound machine that costs around $100K to $200K and collapsed it into a $2,000, $3,000 machine, handheld device that anybody can connect to their phone. And they get much deeper images, ultrasound images, and much better field of view than you would get with those box. But the main thing is now they've completely revolutionized, they're going to revolutionize the healthcare industry. And this is all being done because they're able to use materials engineering and semiconductor engineering to collapse that into a small handheld devices.
I'm always amazed to see how the healthcare and life sciences space rapidly evolved, especially post the pandemic. The whole thinking itself has changed, enabled, of course, by technology. Om, let me get your perspective in the bookmarks, the examples that you remember.
Well, when we introduce Applied Ventures to the startups, we talk about Applied Ventures being one of the biggest and one of the oldest, one of the quite profitable CVCs. But it's more than that for Applied Materials. It's a corporate VC fund. It is also one of our critical strategic elements in driving the growth of the company. So the investments that we're making in startups in trying to make them successful are also helping us learn about the challenges in the new inflections and new markets. And consequently, the investments we made allowed us to learn about new ecosystems. We call it investor learn strategy. We have acquired some of the companies that are driving some very big growth opportunities for Applied Materials. And we're also interested in enabling the supply chain. And that's actually one of the pieces of what we are trying to do in India, creating that ecosystem, So that can fuel our growth and enable the overall semiconductor ecosystem in India.
All right. And as we wrap up, just a summary statement from you, considering technology and especially semiconductors are unlocking new possibilities every day for the world around us. So in terms of what the future brings to the table, both from a global perspective and the Indian perspective, what excites you the most?
Let me make two statements. The first one is semiconductors are foundational building blocks of anything and everything that we're doing in today's industrial society. And the second thing I say is that when I was a child, you talk about life is about roti, kapda, aur makan. Right now, the life is about roti, kapda, makan, our electronics, and specifically semiconductors.
All right. I think we should get that printed on a t-shirt. The world of today is roti, kapda, makan, and silicon. All right, time for a short break here on Applied Ventures, investing across materials to systems stack in deep technology in association with CNBC TV 18. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. And we're back for an engaging chat with Nalamasu and Anand Kamannavar on the semiconductor ecosystem that is shaping the world around us and providing answers to the problems of today and tomorrow. Let's restart the conversation. All right, Om. So summarize the journey for us for Applied Materials here in India. How has the journey been so far? What are the highlights?
So as I said, we've been in the country for 21 years now. For the last 17 years, I've been with Applied Materials. I spent significant amount of time in India trying to put pieces in place so you can actually create an ecosystem. Around 2007 or so, there was a Center for Excellence in Nanoelectronics, an initiative by Indian government. At that time, they created the center between IIT Bombay and Indian Institute of Science. And we've been collaborating with IIT Bombay for the last 17 years. And this is one of the biggest and most comprehensive collaboration between any Indian university and a innovation-focused multinational company. So we've been collaborating with them. We have created one of the 4 200 millimeter fabrication facilities in India, which has been used by about 70 different institutions in the country doing advanced R&D. We have created India's first semiconductor fabrication course. Our employees actually go through that, many of our employees, and that could be a precursor for workforce development. So we played a very important role in putting the building blocks in place in the past, and very recently we have announced a $400 million engineering collaboration center to be able to develop the supply chain in India. So I'm quite optimistic and excited about what can happen in India with respect to semiconductor fabrication.
Absolutely. And you have a great platform considering that the time that you have invested in the country building these collaborations also brings to focus that the need for industry and academia collaboration, which has been cited in many forums, that you are actually doing something about it. All right. I'm coming to you in terms of Applied Ventures, the highlights of its journey in India, and also if you can take us through the selection criteria.
Applied Ventures, we were one of the first investors in the semiconductor industry all the way in 2008. We're looking forward to actually making some big announcements soon. Specifically on the Astra event, our selection criteria across the globe is the same, right? We are looking for passionate innovators that want to solve some high value problems for the society using deep tech innovations, right? Whether it's using material science, physics, chemistry, biology, electrical engineering to solve those. That's what we get excited about. Also, end of the day, we as a corporate strategic investor, we also want to figure out how we can help the startup and how and vice versa. So if there is something we can do where 1 + 1 becomes 11, that's always goes a long way. Deep tech is not for everybody, so we look for passionate entrepreneurs who are willing to go the long way, and Applied is a partner with companies along the way as well. So that's what we look for, and that's true universally. And we see a very good list of companies in India that are driven by passionate entrepreneurs who want to solve those problems.
It harks back to the quote that if you walk fast, you reach a certain level, but if you want to walk far, you have to walk together. What's your message here in terms of the viewing audience as to what they should take away from this?
Maybe if I can add one more thought to what Anand has articulated. We look at opportunities where we can take great ideas from the lab to fab. So you can build billion-dollar enterprises. We want to invest in companies so we can work with them and cross the chasm from innovation to commercialization. Those are the ideas that we look for, and we want to collaborate with them in building vibrant businesses and building a vibrant semiconductor industry. So with respect to messages, I like to say that semiconductor industry is in a period of renaissance. Almost every major inflection you can think of today that's going to shape tomorrow, whether it is AI, big data, 5G, 6G communication networks, augmented reality, virtual reality devices, personalized medicine, any one of the big inflections that you're actually looking at, the foundational building blocks are semiconductors on one hand, but more importantly, this idea of materials engineering, ability to control thin films with atomic precision, is a fundamental capability. And we believe Applied Materials and Applied Ventures, we want to be able to work with entrepreneurs in making that vision a reality.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to see the big names of tomorrow emerging from the stables of Astra 2023, from lab to fab, as you say, and see how they change the world for the better for all of us. Gentlemen, on that note, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation and, of course, sharing your insights and expertise on this topic. And thank you to the viewers for tuning in. Till next time, this is your host, Gautam Srinivasan, signing off. Have a great day.